See, this is weird. This is weird. Welcome to another episode of the Suspendables. I don't know if I'll be able to get through this, Rusty. Jungle Jim Jerome coming at you from Edmonton. And Russ Courtnall down in Gaza. There it is. Oh, beautiful. Do it again. Do you have an extra one? Can you do it again?
No. Give me 15 minutes.
Okay. The reason this is weird, folks, is we're doing this by video. All the shows up to now have been audio, and now you get to. I think you're going to have the option to see us at one time. We're talking about going on to YouTube and stuff like that. I'll tell you what bugs me is you look way younger than I do. I don't know
if we have ratings, but this might screw it all up.
This might tank it altogether. Yeah. You're in LA, Russ. Do you get a little face work done once in a while? A little Botox?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
I just got a haircut though.
Another
cut
hair
it all.
joke. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you cut them
yeah.
all. You cut both hairs. Yeah, I got a haircut too. Yeah, I cut both of them. I might get some face work done one day. You know, I don't know.
Really?
What would you think of me, Russ, if I got a little face work done?
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're off and running with another show. Bunch of stuff always to talk about. The playoffs are going to crank up. I want to ask you what you think is going to happen there with the level of play. Eddie Shack died. You're a Toronto Maple Leaf guy through and through. So that's safe to say.
Clear the track.
Yeah,
Eddie
clear
Shack.
the track. Eddie Shack's back from my hometown, from Sudbury. And then a bunch of other stuff that I want to talk about. How's it going for you, first of all, down there? By the way, we've got our Suspendables Facebook page. If you want to jump on there and see a bunch of stuff, it's lively. It's there's a bunch of hockey stuff that we put in there, and you get to see you and I doing some video. So it's the Suspendables, and we're also. You have a Suspendables account on Instagram, so you can check that out. I like that. I like that account. So anyway, first of all, Russ, so we're going to talk about a bunch of that and some other stuff. First of all, the playoffs are going to start. It's supposed to be August 1st. Teams are in Edmonton right now and Toronto. They're skating a little bit. They call it training camp. I think it's 48 hours. The training camp. It's like a couple of days. What do you think, Russ, the level of play is going to be, first of all? I mean, they've been off now since March, and they're hitting it full steam here ahead next week or this coming week.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think like any break, the guys will be a little rusty and it'll take some time, but they don't have a lot of time. So I've always said that the younger teams usually come out of the gate a lot quicker than the older players. It takes a little while for the older guys to get their legs and shake off the summer doldrums when they go into training camp. So this is totally different. I think that they're all such great athletes and they've been staying in great shape and they'll the fitness wise they'll be fine. It's just passing and hitting the net and making plays. It'll take a little bit of time, but I think they'll be in full stride pretty quick.
I would think, Russ, if I had to pick a position on a hockey team that might be the toughest one to rebound from, I want to say goaltending. Would that be the thing that'll be really tough on the guys having such a big break? I don't know why I think that, but
no, I would say it's the playmakers that are. The offense is going to be the thing that takes a little while to get going. It's easier on the defenders who are defensive minded because they just got to clear the puck, break up the plays, make an outlet pass. And so I think it's just going to be the offense that's going to take a little while to get, clicking and get into a rhythm.
mm-hmm.
The goaltenders, I don't know. I can't really answer that. I think the goaltenders I think they'll be okay. And boy, do they have to be ready right off the hop. But I think it's going to be the offense that's going to take a little while to get going.
Okay. You bring up when we talk about goaltending, and people love to know from you on, because you take us inside. You take us inside the locker room, and I remember being in the room when I was with Molson in the Oiler room, and I think sitting down. It was game day. I was there. I don't know, setting up beer for after the game or something. It was a playoff game.
Shocker.
Yeah, loading up the beers.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting beside Grant Fiercy and shooting the shit with him. And then Mess came along.
Yeah.
Right? He walked into the room or something, and he went, "Hey, Scooter, come here.
Yeah.
He said, "If I ever see you talking to our goaltender on game day again, okay, I'm going to carve your eyes out." Okay? I'm going to carve your eyes out. I'm just like, what? Is it really that, like, we always hear about crazy goaltenders? They're weird. They got a little something extra. They got a different valve than other guys. They can be very unpredictable off the ice. But I always heard the one about never, ever, ever touch a goalie. A bunch of superstitions, Russ, around goaltenders. Is that true, or is it?
Well, you can always tell which goalie's playing because the focus that they have on on game day is amazing. I remember when I played in Minneapolis, we had John Casey and Darcy Wakoluk, and John Casey was just in this, like, he was in this zone, and Darcy Wakoluk was taking a hanger and he was like flipping it, like flip, and I can't imagine. Yeah, coat hanger. He's just a coat hanger. He's like flip, like a yo-yo. He's just, and you look at one guy who is just like in this intense thought process of visualizing the game, and then the other guy was just a space cadet, like. In fact, they started not letting the goalies room together because one guy was, watching TV all afternoon, and the other guy's trying to sleep, and
right.
And so Mess was right. You don't ever break the concentration of the starting goalie, and that's that's a known fact, that you just hammer the shit out of the goalie that in practice that's not playing, and then take it easy on your starter.
Right. What do you do during games?
Pat Burns. I ripped one right by Patrick Roy's ear in pregame skate, and he came flying over to me. He goes, "If you hit him above the shoulder, you're not fucking playing." And I'm pissed off. So every shot after that was on the ice.
Yeah. What about during games? Say a goalie lets in a soft 3, and you got to go into the dressing room. And they're not going to pull him. He's not quite that bad. Are you saying anything to him? Is it like, chin up, buddy, or nothing?
Nah. I mean, obviously he's your teammate, and you're trying to protect him and obviously the team. And so when, just like any other player, when they're having a tough night, you try to support them as best you can. And then when they get pulled, they're pissed off. They're mad at themselves, or they're mad at the coach, or they're mad at the team. So if they're having a hard night, most guys will own it. But if they think that it's not their fault, then they're freaking pissed off. So
right. Tell the story again, Russ. Speaking of goaltender and Grant Fuhr, you guys going to Russia on an exhibition tour with Gretzky, and you're all hungover. And I love that story.
So in '95, the lockout year, Gretz puts together the '99 All-Stars, and we actually went to Sweden. We went Sweden, Finland, and we played one game in Norway, and then an extra game in Germany. So that wasn't Russia, that trip. But in the second game, we'd had a pretty good night in Sweden, and the night before the game.
Right.
And they came out flying because they're playing Gretzky and his Messier and all these great players, Hall of Fame players, Steve Yzerman, on and on and on.
Right.
And so they are flying, and it's like 16-0 in shots. And Fierce, he calls Gretz over, and he says, "Tell the boys I'm warm."
Yeah. And then shut him down, didn't he?
It was 0-0, but he had stopped 16 shots.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. He waved Wayne over and he goes, "Yeah, just tell the guys I'm warm now. They can start playing." And we either tied or won that game, but it was not a good start for us.
Right. Other things on the show we're going to talk about. Yes, sir.
You're just falling out of frame there. That's all.
Oh,
there you go. That's good.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
All right.
We want to see we got to see the moon head.
Yeah. We got to see. I'm getting older. See, look at do I have the dots? Do I have the?
Yeah, I see it.
Well, what a look, baby. I should be a model.
You look like King Clancy right before he died.
I've got a fantastic King Clancy story for you one day.
Okay.
I really do. Do.
Okay.
I can't tell it today, but I got to work on it. But before he died on his deathbed, what a look! We brought up Mark Messier. We brought up Eddie Shack, who passed away this week. Our thoughts go out to the Messier clan and Mark, his mother, Mary Jean, wonderful lady, passed away this week. She was stricken with Alzheimer's and a long battle.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, and I got a text from Mess, back to me going, this is just a terrible, terrible way to go out, and they had a long struggle with her. She's survived by her husband Doug. They were married 63 years.
Jeez.
Doug and Mary Jean Messier. So to Mark and Paul and Jenny and Mary Kay and all the rest of the family and all the nieces and nephews, our condolences
to
the family. And,
for sure.
And Mark wears his heart in his sleeve.
Yeah.
A lot of people know. You played against him. You talk about that night. You had grabbed him by the jersey and you didn't know it was him, and he spun around. Tough guy, mean, dirty, that they said, but awfully frightening. But if you get to know Mark at all, and you and I are criers, but he's one of the softest souls ever.
Yeah, he's got a big heart.
Big heart. This will be super tough on him and the family. And Eddie Shack died, who was a longtime Toronto Maple Leaf. He got into the league in the late 50s. He got drafted by New York. Played for a few other teams, but his best years were with Toronto when they win 4 cups.
Wow. From
right up to 67. I don't know, Steve, was first one 61, Stevie? Maybe the year I was born, 1961. Yep. So there's the interesting thing to me, Russ, you wouldn't have played, obviously, with Eddie. You probably were at a bunch of alumni events. Mm-hmm. But the totally interesting thing about this guy, he was renowned in hockey. Everybody knows who Eddie Shack is, and he wasn't that great. He scored one Stanley Cup winning goal, which is great. But came from he's from my hometown. Actually, he was born in Sudbury. Illiterate, couldn't read or write. Mm-hmm. Quit school at 15. Went and played junior hockey in Southern Ontario, and then went on to play in the NHL. So seasons, a bunch of them. 13, 14 goals. Not much going on, but this guy became beloved, beloved in the world. And what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, we all knew growing up, clear the track, here comes Eddie Shack. And then when I got to Toronto, I heard some great stories about him. And I don't know if this is true, but they said he had a little dog that used to sit under the bench in Maple Leaf Gardens during the games.
Come on.
Yeah, I swear. I don't know if it's true or not, but they told me that story. He had this little dog that sat under the bench. And
right.
But when I was he had this deep voice. Right. And huge. He's a big guy at the time. He was a real big man, huge hands on him, and not shy of speaking his mind. And when I was there, he was having a battle with Harold and the alumni, and Harold was battling with all the players that had won and been there in the past. And I go to Montreal after Toronto, where in Toronto we never saw players around. Go to Montreal and all the players are in the locker room on game day, and you're talking to these guys, and in Toronto,
all the alumni guys.
Yeah, Toronto Harold didn't allow them. And I remember I was grabbing my stick to get ready for a game, and Eddie had a couple, and he walked right into the locker room, and he goes, "I need a goddamn stick for this kid out here. I need it." And he's rifling through the sticks, and the trainer's saying, Eddie, you can't. He goes, "God damn, I can grab a stick. I can grab a stick. It's for some kid out there, and just give me a goddamn stick." And I was standing there watching this, going, "Oh my God, that's Eddie Shack." And that was the first time I ever saw him. He just stormed in the locker room and was wanting a stick to give to some kid in the audience. And then I saw him at a couple of events, and he was pretty funny. And apparently he did well outside the game in real estate. And anyways, he was a character, and I did get to see him a few times. But man, when he was in the room, you could sure hear his voice, because loud, deep, and vocal.
Absolutely. I've done a number of events over the years where he's been there, and the one thing that really sticks out to me is he had no airs about him. He was super humble, not the best dresser, probably could have used a little laundry on the clothes before he went to the event. He just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And he was, what you saw is what you got with that guy. And anyway, passed away this week. Another friend of yours you would have played with, there was an announcement today. It's not all bad news here, but Dale Hawerchuk, who's been battling cancer, it was in remission. Now it's come back. His son put up a very emotional post about his dad having to deal with it again. And I made a note of that, because you would have played at the same time Dale did. Right? He's 57. He would have come along a bit earlier than you.
We played against each other. Actually, my first fight in the NHL was against Dale. And then I played, and you can see it on YouTube. I did well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And,
wow. Let's mark that down. YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I was so nervous because it was my first fight, and it's Dale Hawerchuk, one of the top three or four players at the time. And he wanted to fight me. So he was frustrated and thought we should fight. But Dale and I played together in the 91 Canada Cup.
Imagine someone being frustrated with you, Russ. I find that
not
very
with
hard
me.
to believe.
He wasn't frustrated with me. He was just frustrated, and he wanted to take it out on me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he thought he would beat the shit out of a rookie, and it flip-flopped.
Nice, Rusty. Nice. My boy. Boom, boom, boom.
My first standing ovation in the NHL.
There you go. Always works. Yeah. When all else fails, take someone out, drop them. He got into the horse business.
Yeah.
Apparently one of the rare stories where a guy had some success in the horse business.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he did real well. And I thought, I got to ask Russ, because it seems to me every third hockey player gets into the horse business. And did you ever get in it, Russ? Like they're all buying horses. And oh, you did?
Yeah. So we have a great friend, Rob McAdams in Victoria. And Jeff and I, we grew up with their kid. We're older than their kids. We played baseball with them, and he's a very successful real estate guy in our town. And so Jeff was like, God, we should, we want to invest with him. We want to learn from him. And so we thought getting in the horse business would be a way in. And so Rob, we'd always go to these Kentucky Derby parties at the Jawls house in Victoria, and it was so much fun.
Right.
Play golf in the morning, Kentucky Derby party in the afternoon, and we start talking about horses. And Jeff's like, "This is our chance to get in with the McAdams family."
Oh, no.
And so we buy a horse. So 4 guys: Rob, his partner, Jeff, and I. And we called it "He Shoots, He Scores." Well, that frickin' bastard never frickin' won a race. He came second or last. I mean, it was so fast, and this thing would take off, and then it would be leading, and then it would let the next horse win, or it would just be right behind him. And if it didn't come second, it came last. It was freaking hilarious. And then it got, and then I didn't understand anything about horse racing.
Right.
But, you know, and they called us and it's like, okay, you owe this much money. I'm like, how much for what? Why are we paying money for this? Oh, well, the vet. I'm going, fuck, I wish I was a vet, not a hockey player. And then, so we had to, you know, keep putting money in, and then the thing got claimed. And I'm like, how the hell does somebody claim our horse?
Yeah.
It
Never won.
Yeah. Well, whatever. So it got claimed, and then the frickin' thing started winning.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did start winning. Won its first race after it got
was your fault.
Yeah. So we were one and done.
How about, that's funny, man. How about you think of other guys, Russ? There's got to be, and hockey players can laugh at themselves. And because I remember a few of the guys here, they bought a restaurant, right? It was going great, and they all pitched in and thought they'd invest in a restaurant. And then I forget the bad luck that ensued for these guys after they bought this thing, but it was almost like a comedy show that
I didn't miss that bus either. I invested in a restaurant too with Jeff.
Yeah.
Courtnall
How'd that go?
We put a lot of people through college.
Courtnall's, wasn't it called Courtnall?
Yeah, Courtnall Sports Bar or Sports Grill or something in Vancouver. Jeff, another one of Jeff's ideas.
It was.
Go
ahead.
It was funny. That was another write-off. But anyways, we had a friend in the business, and Jeff had done well on one restaurant, so he thought he'd expand to Vancouver, bought out his partners, brought in a friend, and it did well on game nights, but non-game nights, it was pretty
tough
quiet.
gig, man.
Yeah,
owning a restaurant.
The best story I think I ever heard was Wayne Gretzky. He never told me this story. I read it somewhere, and I got to ask him if it's true, but somebody wanted him to invest in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And his financial advisor said, Wayne, I want you to go to a restaurant, pick out your favorite restaurant in Edmonton.
Yeah.
I want you to walk in, give the manager or the maitre d', whatever, $100. And when you get to your table, give that person $100. When they serve you a drink, give him $100 or her $100. Every time somebody from the restaurant comes by you, give them $100. They're going to treat you like you own the restaurant, and you're going to lose way less money by just throwing around hundreds. And it's true. I've been with friends who are really wealthy, and they walk into a restaurant and they're passing out hundreds. This one guy up here at Gosler calls them fun coupons. $100
hundreds fun coupons.
Yeah, fun coupons. And it's true. If you've ever been in a restaurant and you see somebody handing out tips before they sit down,
right?
I mean, they have like 4 servers. They're all piling on that person,
sure,
hoping they're going to get a piece of the action. And they treat you like you own the restaurant. You're going to lose a lot less money
without the overhead.
Oh God.
I had a friend in the restaurant business, and to give you the stark reality about owning it and how frustrating and tough it is. And he was a successful restaurateur in Ottawa, Dave Leith. And he had 2 or 3 restaurants on the go. And I said, why is it such a grind? He said, well, here's the deal. Right off the top, okay? No matter what systems you have in place, no matter what safeguards you have, okay, 8% in theft every year. 8%, okay? Just they've looked at every angle. They've got security cameras. And the staff just gets you no matter what you try and do, you know. Imagine working in a business like that.
I have friends that are in the business and very successful, and they've got great stories of, you know, the bartender sneaking in a bottle of vodka so he doesn't ring up those drinks, and, you know,
every 4th drink they go to their bottle and all that stuff. Listen, there was the greatest story ever about a restaurant scam was in Vegas, and they knew they were getting ripped off. You know, it was a massive casino, 4 or 5 different bars throughout the whole casino. And they every night there was like $1,000 missing all the time.
Yeah.
Bunch of money going through the tills. And they finally figured it out by doing all the different combinations of staff. So they could, eventually they said, here it is. fucking Peter and Gallardo here, every time they're working together, okay, we're missing $1,000.
Right.
So they started watching them, right? And they had guys on them and spies and cameras and all that stuff. And they see the guy, pour a drink, take the money, go over to the cash register, put it in. And it was in the old days with the manual cash register.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure it out. Finally, a security guy looked at it and said, they brought in their own cash register. There were so many of them, right? There were like 15 or 20 cash registers, and they just carried in their whole one, and every fourth drink, they just went over there and carried the whole thing out at the end of the night.
That's
anyway,
tough
business. Don't get in the horse business. We doing this Zoom thing, folks. You know, we got Steve Warren, who's our producer and editor, and so when we're on Zoom, so it's video, and we're all trying to figure it out. So I go like this a little bit, okay, and I drop out of the frame. Jim, your chin's dropping out of the frame. Oh, Rusty, here we go. Which fucking chin? Yeah, how many of them? we
Chinny,
can't.
chin.
Chinny, chin, chin. Let me put the glasses on here. Okay.
Uh-oh. Magoo.
How about all of us with glasses?
Magoo.
Jamie Louts, thanks a lot. Cupper in the crease. These guys have all been listening a long time. Peter Whitowich, of course, from Sudbury, and Rod Carlson, nicknamed Zero. He was a goaltender. They called him Zero.
Hopefully because of shutouts, not because he was a freaking zero.
His win record. Yeah.
Oh,
zero.
no wins?
No wins.
Ofer.
Yeah.
Ofer.
For the year, like for the season. He never got a win.
Attaboy.
Stephen Potvin and Trent Goudreau and Jen Shaw, all big fan. Lauren Scott, thank you. Christy Herbert, and Joe Jahari. Joe was an old hairdresser here in town. He was the go-to guy for all the guys when they got married to community. You would have met him over the years. In fact, he lives in Vancouver.
Put him out of business.
Yeah. Okay, Rusty. Couple of questions here for you. The head of officiating came out this week and said, looking back at the 2019 playoffs.
Who's the head of officiating?
I don't know what his name is. Maybe Stevie can look that up. I forget who it was or is. When he looked back at the 2019 season, I kind of remember this. There was some outrage. There was some catastrophic games where the referees made some mistakes. I quote him when he says that, made some mistakes, and it changed the outcome of the game. And he said it's the worst nightmare ever for looking back at refereeing. You've been around the game a long time, Russ. Officiating is always in the topic of conversation. I've always said, Russ, people freak out about a game and they're calling for a referee's head. And then I'm saying, okay, let's look back at that game. Do you ever remember it? 5 years later, is anyone saying we lost that game because of the refs? But is it a problem, Russ? Are you okay with the way refereeing is? I got to agree with this guy. Some of it is, oh my God, did they ever miss that call? And can't turn it around. Can't reverse the call.
Sorry.
Well, I was going to say we do have review now, but it still happens where bad calls are made and it changes the outcome.
Yeah, you don't want the officials to be part of the game. Meaning, you don't want them to be part of the outcome.
Right.
And so what happens a lot when I played, at least, they start kind of putting their whistle away because in the 80s and 90s, the tough guys didn't play. So there wasn't a lot of fighting in the games, in the playoff games, but a bad call can affect the game. And so you just, for their sake and for both teams, you want them to be there, but not be a big part of the outcome and just to be fair. And then it's just tough. It's tough. But when they miss a blatant call that is now on every freaking video screen and replayed, I mean, it's tough. And they have the replay. And even with the replay, they sometimes miss it, and it's tough. And you just don't want a ref to make a bad call that costs a team a game and possibly a series. And during the regular season, because the teams are so good now, that one game, if they cost somebody a game, it could cost them a spot in the playoffs. So they're under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of video, and it's not a good position to be in when you make the wrong call, because you're going to see it every night.
Right.
That night, you're going to see it on the news every night. And then they also get, they get rated. And if they make a bad call, then they might lose some games in the playoffs. So
right.
It's important that they get it right.
But there's nothing you can do about it. Is there? Like
Well,
some people start to float the next night going, they got to replay that game.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I don't know. It's a tough position to be in, and you just want them to be there, to be present, call the game the way it's supposed to be called, and hopefully they get it right.
Right.
It's brutal when they screw up a call. It really is. It takes momentum away from one team and gives it to another.
3 blind mice. That was the lamest ever, right?
Yeah.
You talked about your complete love affair with your favorite referee, Kerry Fraser.
Yeah, Kerry. Yeah. Morel loved me too.
Yeah.
Morel loved me too, but I couldn't stand when they made a bad call, like offsides, and
right.
And we didn't have video replay back then, and I wasn't shy on.
What would you say?
Oh no, it wasn't pretty. I don't want to even say it on the air.
Hey, you fucking prick! You should quit. That usually does it. That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, Russ. So anyway, I threw it on Facebook about why do you love hockey? And that was a couple weeks ago, and I still get responses. I've got, I don't know, 100 or something that came in. And one of them was, for me, playing hockey not only helped develop some physical skills, it also gave me experience working together with others as a team member. Important for a kid. One experience that stand out, I played a Bantam AA team in Edmonton, coached by Bill Busick. Remember, he must have been a Bruin. You're younger than I think.
I know Johnny
Busick is who I was thinking of, yeah. So Bill must be his brother. As a diehard Bruins fan, having Johnny Busick's brother, there you go. All I had to do was read further. As my coach was pretty cool. This picture of me he sent me a photo, was at Edmonton Gardens in 77, the year before Johnny retired. Ask Russ, what is his best or worst stories of playing the Bruins when you played in Montreal? Probably still is one of the greatest rivalries, isn't it? Boston and Montreal.
Yeah. I played 4 years in Montreal, and every year we played Boston in the playoffs. The first year we beat them in 5 or 6. Can't remember. I think it was in 5. And then we lost to them in 7. And one year we lost 4 straight. They felt like they couldn't beat us. And after Bob Gainey and we retired, Larry Robinson left, and our team got younger, they all of a sudden they beat us in the regular season, and that gave them confidence. And then, they had a great team, and they beat us those 3 years. And
who coached Boston back then, Russ?
It was he's on the air now.
Milbury? Was he head coach?
Mike Milbury, yeah. And man, was
Jimmy
he
with the recall. All right.
Yeah, and he chirped, man. It was like he was still playing. He was yelling at us players, and
right.
Very emotional guy on the bench. So he coached maybe the first year. It might have been Terry O'Reilly. Did he coach Boston for a bit? But it was definitely Mike Milbury when I played, for sure, in those.
Thumbs up. Yeah, O'Reilly did. Speaking of coaches, a couple questions, Russ. Do you like John Tortorella? Anyone who knows anything about hockey, he's super quotable. Super unpredictable. A little crazy. Has a terrible relationship with the press.
Yeah.
Do you like him, Russ?
There's times when I really like him, and then there's times I question what he's saying, and his honesty is what I think we all like as fans, because, you know, he'll give it to the media. And
Right.
I haven't talked to a lot of players that I don't have a lot of information to share with you. But there's times when I really like him, and then there's times I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine playing for this guy. So I really don't. I mean, his press conferences are awesome. They're worthy of watching.
Totally. Yeah. You played in New York. The famous writer Larry covered the Rangers.
Brooks.
Larry Brooks, who is maybe still does. And if you want to check out a great interaction in a scrum after the game, John Tortorella really being an asshole at that time, saying he's not answering any questions.
Yeah.
Right? He won't answer them. And then Larry Brooks, who never took any shit, said, you know, sort of challenged him, going, well, you got to answer. And he just goes, oh, is that right, Brooksy? Is that anyway? You got to check it out. I think he tells him to F off at the end.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Were there any coaches, Russ, in your career that you wished you would have been able to play for? That you didn't?
Yeah, I think I would have liked to experience Scotty Bowman, because of just all the stories that I've heard, and maybe I would have liked it, maybe I wouldn't have. But he was, you know, definitely an interesting character, a winner, and did some crazy things that we still talk about. I've been hanging out with Coach Sean Payton the last few weeks.
From New Orleans.
Yeah, so he bought and joined Gazer. So we have breakfast almost every morning. And his stories are freaking epic. If he wasn't leaving tomorrow, I was going to get him to come on the show and just tell some. But it's been really fun hanging out with Kelly Chase, Wayne Gretzky, Brendan Morrow, Coach Payton, Ray Whitney. And every year here at Gazer, in the last few years, we've given out a trophy for Rookie of the Year. Coach Payton this year won. He's such a great guy, and he loves hockey. He loves the hockey players.
Rusty, you have yourself a good week, okay? And we'll be back next week with another episode of the Suspendables. This has been great. Love to hear from everybody. Thanks a lot. Speaking of past shows, check out Pat Burrell, who we had on last week, and Kelly Chase, and your brother's a great interview, Ty Gretzky, and of course Wayne was a huge one that we had. So check out all those shows anywhere you listen to your podcast. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.